Good day, everyone. Welcome back. This is our part 2 of 3 of the Battle Bunker recap with race director Hunter McIntyre. This was event 2, FUBAR, which stands for Up Beyond All Repair. It was the cleans and then the squat, and then you went down and back, and then you had a run at the end. Hunter is going to give us what actually went into the scoring and how that event went, and we kind of argue about it a little bit. So enjoy it. Away we go.
Let's move on to event 2. Oh, and you told me, I don't know if it's done yet, you told me there would be a final leaderboard. Is that coming?
Yeah, dude, fucking Austin. I wish I could share the screen right now. Austin sent me this. Here, can I share the screen?
You should. I just have to give you access.
Yeah, share this.
Multiple partners. Okay, yeah, go for it. We can have multiple orgasms now.
Yeah, we can. Dude, this is what Austin sent me. And I mean, it's terrible. So I have to get a better version of this. Do you see this?
What I'm looking at is I would go ahead and call it chicken scratch.
Exactly. I was like, dude,
open up triple R. Open up this triple R. I'm looking at.
I can't read that. I know. And he sent me this.
So this is the question I had for him. If you've got 10 people doing this, which is a sheet with 6 columns and whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
As soon as this event's over, someone needs to put this into a spreadsheet, right? Which then can be shown to everyone at some point in the middle of event 2 or at the end of the day.
Did you know that it took us like 60 to 75 minutes to get all the scoring done before the next workout every time? Like we don't have the staff for that. I don't know what kind of janky operation, like what do you think we got going on? You remember when you did those backyard runs with the scoring? It's complicated. There's a lot of data.
I made it really simple. They entered it and we knew right away actually. But
those people are just doing laps. I'm just telling you right now, dude, look at the data points here. So time off the rower, time back, run. Now, all of a sudden, do you notice the difference right here? I think this is Rylan or maybe Rylan, but
right. But this, right. But okay. So here's the thing. Back to the GoRuck games. Okay. Now the difference, which I've tried to explain to people, because people are immediately comparing you to the GoRuck games when we didn't know the winners right away and we didn't get the scores. I said,
did you know we have none of the scores?
You interrupted me, dude. Let me finish. I said, Hunter and those guys are working on it. It's a manpower issue because I knew that, right? Yeah. GoRuck, and will give it to us eventually. GoRuck is saying, we don't tell you, we don't have to tell you, go fuck yourself. We're the military. And that's not cool to me because people didn't sign up for the military. They signed up for a competition. You wanted to give it to people.
Yes.
It's just later than we want it. And I would say that, again, better for the announcers, better for the viewing public, is that goes into a spreadsheet and you upload it and you go, Matt, that's unofficial, but it's 95% accurate. Then again, we're showing it. Hey, guys, unofficial round 1. This is what we got. We'll let you know as the day goes on. It's the most magical component of a competition is who won, what is the score. So you've got to let people know sooner if you want to have people be ultimately happy with your competition.
Dude, everybody wants to go back to the GoRuck games, and I have no data from that weekend.
Right. That's what I'm saying. The difference between you and them is they didn't give it. They don't want to give it. You want to give it. You just said, hey, Matt, and I heard and I know that you spent, you're not going to say this about yourself probably, but maybe you will. Austin said, like, you stopped everything, went back to the room, took 7 hours to get it right. And I believe that because I know you to be that committed.
Yeah. I went back several times and I went and watched film and I would go through and I'd read things and I'd isolate coaches and judges and stuff. And it was like, listen, I will say this. I want you guys to understand the flow of business here. Now, Austin's isolated. Austin was the showrunner. He was the person who was meant to establish the media and everything like that.
Yeah, he's like the executive producer and you're the race director. I get the difference.
Yep. I was the race director. I designed the workouts. I made sure that the time flow was going smoothly so that events were going off. I made sure that the head judge was keeping track of all of the judges and had the master card, which had all of the master scores on it. And then I made sure that the judges underneath that fully understood all of the movements of the workout and understood how to score it and always felt supported. I personally could not be out there looking at everyone's reps. I don't know if you guys watch me at the tournament, but I would often just be on the sidelines, walking up and down the lines, trying to keep an eye and make sure that judges, if I walked up and saw that somebody was giving not the greatest reps, I would just tell the athlete, I was like, hey, I even told it to Isaiah, I was like, I want you to have taller squats next time. And then I walk away. It's not my job to be this micromanager. So we literally, like, all of these things were so many moving data points. And I'm so impressed by people that put this on professionally, because I, in isolation, and my first go at this thing, it was insane. Like, I cannot even begin to tell you how many moving pieces there are and how stressful it is.
So does it make you feel like, oh, maybe I was a little too hard on Tough Mudder when I used to always bitch about them?
No, I don't think I ever really bitched about Tough Mudder. I definitely bitched at Spartan Race because they did a shitty job. TMX, I never bitched about TMX. I don't really remember bitching about Tough Mudder that much. I'm trying to remember who I used to get upset with.
My experience with you, and again, I know you don't have an issue with me saying this. People think I'm trying to blow up your spot. You and I have had a lot of conversations on and off the record. Is your kind of, again, but I think a less mature hunter is like, these guys are idiots and I have the right answer. And sometimes you are right? Sometimes you're right. But it's also like, just like the people that come at you, like if you want to listen to people on Race Brain talk about other things you did wrong, and you're just like, oh, okay, easy for you to fucking say you weren't there. So I'm just saying, like, it's a lot easier when you see, that's all I'm saying. It's like, it does help you give Spartan Tough Mudder a little bit more grace. Spartan is FUBAR in real life. We know that, but you understand what I'm saying? It gives you a little perspective because you see how many moving parts and pieces. And
listen, dude, I've done enough of these things to understand. It's like when your heart and soul's in it, it's like really, really gut wrenching. But like the greatest attitude that I saw all weekend was really Rylan, when he knew that he was totally screwed on that rower and he stuck it out and still beat everybody. That's the difference between a champion and a chump. And like, that kid's going to be an amazing athlete because of his attitude. It's his ability and his attitude. Okay. It's 2 A words. If you only have one, you may make it. If you have both, you're going to be a champion. That guy impressed me. And he didn't come up and bitch at me at all this week. And the only thing he said, he's like, I wish I just didn't say the F word because I knew my mom was watching. And I was like, wow, the person who got screwed over the most. And Lauren Weeks too. Lauren Weeks had a bit of a stumble, and we addressed it. And she had a great attitude about it. 2-time world champion, Spartan Games champion, world record holder and stuff. Great attitude. And, both of those people impressed me like greatly. So you know what, like, I'm sorry anybody who didn't like what we did, but we did it to the best of our ability.
All right, so let's move on. Let's move on to FUBAR. Okay.
FUBAR, yes.
2 scores, 2 data points for that one, right?
Only one, actually. I want you guys to understand that. So there's 40 reps total, 5 cleans, 5 squats times 4. There was 1 extra point per each round, which was the traveling across the field.
The data points were the 40 reps plus how many go around the track, chomping the cones like a Pac-Man.
Close. Every round technically had 11 points in it. So you do your 5 cleans, you do your 5 squats, that's 10. And then the extra point was the 11th point, which would travel you when you drop the bag. It was that travel across the field. So total points gained inside of the grid was 44 points. Everyone understand that? There was 12 cones around the grid. Okay, 12 cones. Now, people, I believe, made it 2+ rounds around the cone was the highest score. I have to go back and check, but just a little bit above that, actually. So what would happen is you'd go out and your job was to start collecting cones now. It just was an addition to the 44 points. So let's say you get to the first cone. What's your score, Matt?
45.
Hey, there you go. I had to do this for the judges. You make it around, you're immediately at 56 points. You make it around a second time, now you're at 68 points. And you make it around almost a third time, you know. So it was pretty impressive. The only thing that was the difference here that people were confused about, and I had to explain this to people, the tiebreaker was the last round that you did inside there. You get what I'm saying? So if you got done, we time-stamped it. Let's just say you got done with your last round and crossed that line in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. If you got, let's say both of you got 70 points total, but let's say one athlete got out at 2:30, another athlete got out in 3 minutes. It's the athlete that got the work done first, like Isaiah. Isaiah had an astoundingly fast grid time. He ended up actually knocking off 2 people that matched him in points.
Right, because as I was watching it, I know he got passed, meaning less cones than Ryland and Kent. So at best, he was third place in that.
There's no way Ryland. There's no way that Ryland. There's no way that Ryland beat him. I watched Ryland. Ryland was like one of the last people out of there. He had a really bad score.
So who passed him? I thought he got pat by Kent and one more person.
Probably Newberry.
Newbie, yes. So he was minimum third in that heat. So that was the best he could have done in the whole event, assuming nobody else got as far as they did.
I'm not going to give any official answer to that. I just have to, like, I don't have the points in front of me. And then once again, I'm not going to get nailed to the cross on this thing. But let's just say he did extremely well there.
Okay.
I wanted to review all this stuff and have these answers for you. But then when you check my inbox and you get to see the scores, I can't really give you official ones.
No,
based
listen,
on what
this is, I think that, but this is clearing up an awful lot. This is great. People will have a much greater understanding.
Yes.
Than they did. But again, if we do this ahead of time, you and me, then I can explain it better, right?
Yeah.
On the fly. Because we were saying, oh, look, he went out too hot, right? And that's not necessarily the case, because that event, it helps to go out hot. So we kept saying like, oh, well, Isaiah's doing what Isaiah does. He's going out too hot on this event. And it turns out that's actually wasn't a bad idea. So again, it's just better information for the host. That's all.
I mean, in reality, going out at whatever pace you can hold is the best thing you can do. There was only a handful of people that ended up in tiebreakers.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
That came up. If I'm in the box closest to the end versus being in the box furthest from the end, I'm getting less credit for jumping cones, correct?
Yes. And I told everybody ahead of time, I said, guys, you should run really fast because it's going to have to do with your seeding for the next round.
So how did you seed the people?
Basically, first place from the round before is the first person in the first box. You get what I'm trying to say? You're closest to the exit. You have the least extra work to do. You literally just turn right, you turn left, and you're out the gate. Second place is one grid down.
But there's more than one heat.
I get it. In reality, dude, we just ended up gridding it out. We wanted all the best guys next to each other because we knew that was going to be the best race. And then beyond that, it was just still, if you think about it, 9th place was closest to the grid next. And then it was 10th place, 12th place, 11th place, 12th place.
But 8th place is kind of fucked and 9th place is kind of rewarded.
And I said, run faster than the people ahead of you and you won't have to deal with this later on. In the reality, it's the distance traveled of maybe 10 seconds, but you could have done that if you ran 10 seconds faster on Triple R.
But if I ran faster than everybody except for 8 people, right?
Yeah.
Or the 8th place person, right? And now 9th has an advantage over me for the next round.
This is called the boo-hoo clause. Like, I've got boxes of tissues, but I do not have any opportunity for you that you didn't create for yourself.
Oh man. Well, that's one that I would argue with you on, but let's move on.